locomotive eats the night like a furnace with teeth. Cinders drift in the wind like a fall of glowing snow. The trestle stretches ahead, a lattice of black iron over a river that never forgives. Inside the cab, the bell tolls and the whistle screams, but something older answers with a deeper, crueler sound. The firebox door yawns open, and the light paints the cab in hell's own red. Fur moves where no fur should be. A shovel rises. The thing smiles with too many knives. The bridge shudders beneath the weight of progress. The moon hangs swollen and red over the valley. The engineer keeps one hand on the throttle and the other on a length of silvered chain stolen from a dead man's pocket. The beast takes a step into the glow. The rails sing. The train does not stop. They call the engine Mercy. Men who stoke her know better. She is a creature of appetite and speed, a cathedral of rivets that forgives nothing. The year is 1853. Coal dust slicks the night air. The station master rings his handbell in a rhythm that means departure and debt and destiny. Boots drumboards, trunks thump. The smell of oil and hot brass thickens into a ritual. I board with a press ticket pinned inside my coat and a notebook that drinks ink like a wounded thing. My editor wants triumph prose about the rails that stitch the nation together. He wants progress and brass polish. He wants the steam age to march in a straight line. I keep my pen ready for the kink where the line turns into a snarl. Passengers take their cages, a steel baron with coal under his nails and rings that gleam like coins under a grave lantern. A widow wrapped in mourning wool that drinks the light. A Union veteran with a scar like a closed mouth. Two Pinkertons with star badges that reflect the lamps like small obedient moons. A boy sleeps with his cheek on a carpet bag and dreams milk the fear from his face. The conductor, Abram Pike, checks watches as if time were livestock that might bolt. Outside the platform, dogs sit on their bellies with their ears flat. They know a sound that does not print on timetables. The telegraph key ticks like a beetle. The furnace door shuts with a clap like a judge's gavel. Mercy sighs and rolls her shoulders. We pull into the dark. The countryside slips past. All soot and hedgerow. Barns with their mouths open. Fields of stubble like a million bristles. The rails hum beneath us. A string pulled so tight it wants to sing itself apart. Lanterns sway. In the dining car, coffee spools into tin cups and smell cuts the smoke. The Baron laughs with his mouth open. The widow does not. I write her down as an omen, because a story needs one. The moon climbs from the horizon like a coin too red to spend. Its light does not soften anything, it peels, varnish from the truth. It blesses nothing. Inside the carriage, teeth grind in sleeping mouths, nails scrape wood. Someone begins to hum a hymn and stops after the first line because the words feel like lies on the tongue. The whistle blows long. The line answers with a low moan that hides beneath the iron song. It does not sound like wind. The first scream does not come from a throat. It comes from canvas, tearing and latched trunks rattling, and a pig's squeal that belongs to no pig on this train. The porter heads down the narrow throat of the corridor with a lamp in one hand, and the other on his cap, as if manners could hold the world together. The conductor follows with the calm of a man who has seen sparks become fires. The Baron rises out of his velvet seat with the swagger of ownership. The Pinkertons move like night with shoulders. I follow, because ink is hunger, and the story is feeding. The luggage car smells of rope, damp wool, and old wood that once was forest and remembers. Stacked crates breathe rudely with steam from the boiler bleeding through the bulkhead. Something inside a wardrobe thumps with a rhythm that tries to be a heartbeat and fails. The lantern shows a spatter on the plank floor that is too dark to be oil and too sticky to be spilled coffee. The porter's shoes make a new sound when he steps into it like glue kissing leather. A crate splits at the corner and something white pokes out that might be bone and might be ivory but is neither. The conductor holds the lamp higher. The light finds claw marks in the paint, 4 together, too deep for human hands and too clean for common tools. The Pinkertons draw revolvers and speak orders that lay down like rails and ring just as hollow. The wardrobe coughs. The door bursts. A man folds out and lands on all fours like a dropped prayer. His coat is gone. His shirt hangs in ribbons. His ribs move under skin the wrong way, in a new rhythm. Hair sprouts across him in a black tide. Nails lengthen and shine as if they have been polished with moonlight. His mouth opens on a long breath that contains a season of winter in it. The sound that follows never belonged to any throat taxed by man. The conductor says the name on the man's ticket without moving his lips. The Baron steps back one pace and learns humility. The Pinkertons fire because that is what their badges want. The shots enter a body already moving toward a shape that shrugs off lead like gossip. The lamp glass shatters. The light goes crazy. The thing that has borrowed the man's bones rises until it fills the door frame and keeps rising in the imagination of every witness until it is bigger than the car itself. The rails stab sparks under us. The windows fog and then clear as if the whole train is breathing hard. The thing turns its head toward the heat. It smells the firebox. It learns a new hunger. Terror breaks into compartments because the human mind loves small rooms. The mother in second class wraps her child like a parcel the night wants to steal. The preacher in third class recites holy lines without the vowels. The Baron empties. Another chamber into the corridor. The bullets hit wood and tin and a metal post that rings like a tuning fork. The widow opens her carpet bag and shows the world a coil of chain that shines with a color that happens when the moon laughs at silver. The conductor orders the brakeman to keep us moving. Speed is distance, and distance is hope. The brakeman obeys, because he is made of habit, and habit is the only bridge over certain gulches. The whistle trembles the air, and the valley answers. Wolves live in forests. This sound carries no forest in it. It is iron learning to howl. The beast moves through. The corridor with the grace of a tide. Doors slam. People wedge chairs under latches because wood believes in wood. The door to the dining car bends in the middle like a bow. Cutlery leaps. Porcelain dies in small white screams. The beast smells meat in every corner and chooses the hottest scent. The furnace draws it like a prayer draws a sinner. I move with conductor and the fireman and the widow because we have chosen a foolish religion. We believe tools can redeem us. We reach the tender where coal sleeps. And the fireman Sutter lifts his shovel like a howlbird. His forearms gleam with sweat inside the cinder snowfall. He grins without humor. He has burned his eyebrows off a dozen times. He has never burned fear, the door between the tender and the cab shivers. The beast is on the roof. Claws score the metal above our heads with slow, thoughtful strokes. Ash rains from a crack. The moon shines through the smoke as if smoke is wine and it wants to drink it. The engineer, old Hob, keeps his hand on the throttle and talks to Mercy under his breath. The engine answers with more steam. The river ahead murmurs through the trestle girders. The bridge arrives like a verdict. The widow says there is a way iron can be taught to bite. She works the chain through her hands with a ritual known to miners and mothers. The links hiss where they touch her gloves. Silver does not love everybody. She tells us to heat it. The fireman feeds the chain to the coals, and the metal blushes like a lie meeting sunlight. The smell turns sharp and clean. Hope arrives bent and smoking. Above us, claws move away along the roof toward the front. The beast wants the heart of the machine. We follow because all our mistakes point the same way. The cab is a chapel of gauges and heat. The beast drops from the roof into that sacred space and lands on both feet like a dancer. Its shoulders brush lanterns that swing and ring like small bells. Steam kisses its fur and lifts in white veils. It is not bothered. It knows the moon is a stronger engine. Old Hob stands before his levers and wheels and does not move. He was born with coal under his tongue and iron filings in his blood. He lets the beast look into him and find nothing. Soft. Sutter steps in from behind with the shovel raised. The widow follows with the chain on her arms like a stole. I bring the bucket of nails because somebody has to carry the improvised sacraments. The beast turns to the light and opens its mouth. Its teeth hold furnace glow the way a goblet holds wine. Sutter swings. The shovel blade connects under the chin and the sound is like a bar struck hard. The beast's head snaps back. It does not fall. Its tongue comes out and tastes Sutter's cheek. Skin leaves with it. Sutter laughs in a single short bark that hurts more than any scream. He swings again. He puts his whole life in the swing. The widow throws the chain. It wraps the beast's arm and bites. Smoke rises from the link that touches fur. The smell is pennies and wolf, and the sharp high note of silver waking up. The chain sizzles deeper. The beast grabs it with the other hand, and the other hand burns too. It learns respect. Old Hob finally moves. He yanks the whistle cord once, and the noise drills the night and drills the beast's skull and drills the dark places beyond sound. His other hand pushes the throttle higher because speed makes small gods. The trestle sings under us, the river below answers in cold syllables, the whole valley becomes an instrument tuned to panic. I throw nails into the furnace because a miner once told me iron remembers shape, the nails glow, kneel and become hot, obedient lines. Sutter slams the shovel through the fire and the nails ride it like sparks. He backhands the beast with that starburst, and the nails brand sigils on its ribs that I do not recognize and do not have to. The beast howls a sound that mints frost on the window glass. The widow steps in close, calmer than any night nurse, and loops the chain over the beast's throat. The links kiss and lock around the nape like a final lesson. The beast reaches for her and finds the shovel again. Sutter pays his price. Claws reap him. He pays in meat. He gives us seconds, and those seconds are gold. The beast wrenches free and bounds out of the cab window into the air that hangs over the trestle like a sentence unfinished. It hits the roof of the first passenger car with a boom that sends splinters down like new snow. It begins to pull the roof open as a child pulls crust from pie. Screams lift and thin. The conductor shoves past me with a carpenter's hammer and a length of bar stock. He says we must keep the wolf on the cars until the bridge ends. The river takes anything that falls with claws on it. The river knows what to do with curses. We move along the running boards with the wind flattening our coats and the cinders tattooing our cheeks. The moon makes every rivet a tiny coin. The beast rips through the roof, drops into first class, and explodes into red upholstery that drinks. Deeper, the Baron learns about equality. He bleeds the same color as a brakeman. The preacher in third runs out of consonants. The Pinkertons empty revolvers and then use the guns like clubs. Lead works on stories about monsters. Silver works on monsters. The widow keeps the chain hot by dragging it across the handrails that burn from the cab's breath. She moves with the confidence of a midwife. She arrived on this train with intent. I move behind her with a bag of tools that belong to the train and now belong to the right. Spikes meant for rails, a drift pin that wants to be a stake, twine, a flask of lamp oil that believes in arson. We step into first class, and the heat of fresh blood meets the iron heat, as if the room has discovered two ways to be warm. The beast stands on 4 and on 2, as if it refuses to choose. Its head brushes the velvet curtains and they blacken. Its breath smokes. Its eyes hold no sermon. The chain lands across its chest and kisses home. The widow pulls. The beast pulls back. The nails branded earlier glow again. I see the pattern, and something under my skin recognizes it from a fever dream I had as a child when a dog stood at the foot of my bed and would not blink until dawn. The pattern means obey. The conductor slams the drift pin through the chain into the floor. The plank shrieks and gives. Wood understands surrender. The beast bows without consent. It tears the drift out again with a roar that lifts hair along every scalp on the car. It throws the pin through a window. The pin vanishes into the night like a bad prayer. The train leaves the trestle, and all at once the ground returns under us, like faith under a sinner. The engineer bleeds the speed, but does not stop. Stopping would build a shrine, and the beast would be its priest. The boy from second class appears with his hands full of playing marbles. He has the fixed look of a sleepwalker. He pours the marbles under the beast's feet. The glass orbs find their nature. They roll. The beast slides in a graceless dance that insults it. Its claws find no purchase in polished wood. The widow pulls again. The chain answers. The beast falls against the aisle and tears seat backs and gentlemen's reputations. The conductor drives a rail spike through the chain into the beam beneath the floor with 3 blows that make the dust leap. The spike is iron, the chain is silver, the floor is wood that wants to remain part of a train and not part of a legend. The beast tests the new geometry. It learns about doubt. The widow speaks soft and the words come out older than any track map. She names names that predate counties. She calls on the ore in the mountains that became this engine. She calls on the veins that fed the smelter. She asks the iron to remember. The bedrock covenant. The air tightens because even metal prefers to forget certain promises. Old Hob eases mercy along a curve where the cut slices the hillside into a black wound. Sparks feather the dark. The telegraph line keeps pace, wires throwing the moon back in a jittering smear. The beast fights the spike, and the spike answers with a long, steady no. The Pinkertons reload hands that tremble and pour rounds they do not trust into a flesh they do not understand. The bullets trouble the beast the way rain troubles a wolf. Sutter staggers in with his shirt cut to ribbons and his chest a book someone tried to erase with claws. He carries the shovel because a man should not die without his work in his hands. He grins again, and his mouth is a line that remembers jokes. He tells the widow to give him the other end of the chain. She does. He wraps it around his waist. He works the lever that used to throw switches when a railroad tried to go 2 places at once. He anchors himself in the machine. The beast lunges. Sutter yanks. The chain sings, and the song is new metal and old moon. The beast comes down again, on its knees, and the sound is church. The widow lifts a spike she has filed to a point with a rasp made for wagon wheels. The spike shines under the red moon in a way that would make a jeweler cry. She places it against the place where the beast's heart tries to choose a rhythm. She asks the train to keep time. I pour lamp oil over the chain where it crosses fur. The smell sits on the back of my tongue like copper and snow. The conductor sets a lantern on the floor and breaks the globe with his heel. The flame takes the oil like a starving thing. Fire walks the chain toward fur and then pauses because even fire knows respect. When Silver is in the room, the beast looks at the boy with the marbles. It knows something about debts. It pulls one foreleg free with the kind of strength that has snapped oak branches in storms. It swipes, the boy falls, the marble bag goes up like a flock of small moons and comes down underfoot with a brittle clatter. The beast steps and slips and hits the spike that waits. The widow holds. Sutter leans. The conductor hammers. The spike goes home. The sound that comes out of the beast breaks glass inside lanterns and makes teeth ache in sleeping mouths 2 cars away. It is not a death sound. It is a bargain finally spoken aloud. The beast bows its head and the chain takes new weight. The fur along its spine lies down like wheat in a wind. The iron in the floor remembers ore and mountain and stops being only a floor. It becomes a door. It opens just enough for what needs to pass. The beast changes. Bones tumble inside its skin like dice in a gambler's cup. The muzzle shortens in a slow, cruel retreat. The hands find fingers again. The claws do not want to let go of their glory, but they fold back into nails with a shiver that disappoints every hunter in the room. A man lies where a wolf lay. He is the baron and not the baron. He is many men. He breathes like someone waking in a burning house. The spike stays in. The chain stays hot. The moon keeps its red mouth open. Dawn edges the hills with iron filings. The river lifts mist to cover its murders. The telegraph key in the station ahead will ask where we have been and why the timetable bled. The answers will not fit in the narrow spaces provided. The conductor writes a statement because paper demands tribute. It will say an animal boarded the train where a man had been. It will say the crew performed acts of courage and necessary violence. It will not say that the engine taught us prayer. Sutter lies under a coat while the firebox keeps his feet warm with breath that pretends to be a hearth. He is not dead. He lives on the careful side of a line drawn in ash. He opens one eye when the widow knots the chain and smiles because he recognizes a craftsman at work. Old Hob strokes the throttle with a tenderness that does not belong to machines. He calls Mercy by an older name, and the engine forgives him for it. The Baron breathes and looks small inside his meat. Wealth always looks smaller in daylight. He tries to speak and finds his mouth packed with a season's worth of silent words. The widow does not unspike him. She waits for the moon to finish. It's say. She watches his eyes until they stop shining like a forest at midnight. She passes a hand over his brow the way a mother blesses a fever that has almost burned itself clean. We roll into the station with our lamp lenses starred and our paint scored and our souls altered. Dogs on the platform whine low and look at the wheels the way parishioners look at altars. The station master stares at the chain that runs from the first-class aisle into the Baron's heart, and he decides to ring the handbell anyway. The ritual must continue. Trains run, men carry bags, coffee steams, money changes hands. The day mounts the platform like a king who rules by habit. I fold my notebook and press the cover shut with more force than needed. Words can tell only a shallow part of what happened. They can stake the ground. They cannot bind the moon. The widow steps down into mourning with her carpet bag light by a length of silver gone. She disappears into the town that smells of tallow and sawdust and coal. The Pinkertons smoke in a silence that does not belong to law. The boy collects marbles in hands that shake and counts them with a new arithmetic that includes loss. They unload the Baron on a stretcher built for the ordinary dead. The spike remains hidden under bandage and lie. He opens his eyes and follows, a puff of cloud across the sky until it crosses the sun. He does not smile. He does not cry. He waits for night because night has not finished with him. The engine rests on her rails and sweats as metal cools, cinders settle, the bell hangs quiet, the whistle tube ticks as it loses heat. In the sudden hush, a new sound arises from the rails themselves. It is a low note like breath under a door. It is a vow nailed into iron. It says the line remembers. I light a cigarette with a match that burns like one more small sunrise. The smoke tastes of coal and wolf and the old forest sleeping inside the ties. I look at the trestle we crossed, and at the river that keeps its own counsel. I look at the cut through the hill that shows the wound and the bone beneath. Progress stands on that wound and calls it tomorrow. The beast stands in the wound and calls it home. When the next train leaves, I board again with my ticket and my pen and a new weight under my ribs. I take a seat near the window and watch the countryside slide its throat past the knife of the rails. The moon will rise again. The engine will take the grade. The chain will sleep in a carpet bag somewhere and dream of heat. A story like this does not end. It keeps to the timetable of blood. The whistle blows. The valley listens. Somewhere deep in the iron, a howl answers with a voice that carries smoke and history, and a promise that never learned to soften. The mercy moves, the rails sing the old song, the future arrives with teeth, and for those who hunger for more, step deeper into the shadows with our ultimate werewolf horror playlist, linked in the description below. In the world of horror, the scariest things happen when you least expect them, and trust me, you don't want to be left in the dark. Welcome to the darkness.